Michael Jackson wasn't just unbelievably talented, he was also very spiritual. Since he was a kid, he had a set of rituals and techniques that he used to manifest his dreams. In one of his, we'll call it journal entries, he even wrote, "I have learned that it is what you put in your mind mentally, what you think and do, that makes your person. And you can put any mental object in this mind and it will bring it to reality. So this means we can program ourselves to be the people we want to be." So in this video, I'm breaking down 5 manifestation techniques Michael Jackson actually used throughout his life and how you can use them to manifest your own desires. If you're ready to manifest more love, more wealth, more success, and abundance into your life, be sure to like this video and hit the subscribe button. Now let's dive in. Technique number 1, rituals and setting intentions. Now let's start at the very beginning. Long before Michael Jackson became the king of pop, before Thriller, before sold out stadiums and world tours, he was just a kid with a dream. And in his autobiography, Moonwalk, Michael shared a story from his childhood that really caught my attention. Now, whenever he went swimming, he had this little ritual that he would do. Before jumping into the pool, he would stretch his arms out towards the sky as if he were sending his thoughts out into the universe. Then he'd make a wish. As he dove into the water, he'd tell himself, "This is my dream, this is my wish." An older Michael wrote in his book, Moonwalk, I quote this, "I believe in wishes and in a person's ability to make a wish come true. Whenever I saw a sunset, I would quietly make my secret wish right before the sun tucked under the western horizon and it disappeared. It would seem as if the sun had taken my wish with it. Because a wish is more than a wish, it's a goal. It is something your conscious and subconscious can help make reality." Now, these rituals reveal something important about Michael. He had a clear vision for what he wanted, and instead of letting it remain a passing thought, he created these rituals around it. And rituals are powerful because they help reinforce intention. Many times they work the same way that placebos do. It is your belief in the ritual that makes it work. So every time Michael repeated this practice, he wasn't just wishing, he was reconnecting with the future that he wanted to create. But for now, here's the takeaway. You don't need to jump into a pool to manifest your desires, but creating a small ritual around your intention can be incredibly powerful. Maybe it's reading your future self script every morning. Maybe it's visualizing for a few minutes before bed, or putting on a specific song that reminds you of the person you are becoming. The ritual itself isn't what creates the manifestation. Your subconscious does, but the ritual helps you return to that state again and again. Technique number 2, affirmations and mirror work. Now, as Michael got older, that intentionality evolved. Michael surrounded himself with positive affirmations. If you watch the movie, you probably remember the post-it notes covering his mirrors and his walls, statements reminding him of who he was becoming, and what he believed was possible. He was even quoted saying,
"I look in the mirror and I would say over and over to myself, I take a deep breath, put my feet together, raise myself erect, strong like a hero, a warrior, and I'd say, biggest selling album of all time, greatest selling over and over to my mind and look in my eyes and I'd mean it. I'd say biggest selling album of all time. And I wouldn't accept anything unless it was exactly what I wanted."
That's mirror work, y'all. There's something so powerful about looking yourself in the eyes and speaking directly to the version of yourself you're choosing to become. Think about that for a second. Michael intentionally surrounded himself with reminders of the state that he wanted to occupy. And that is exactly why affirmations are so powerful. Not because repeating a sentence magically changes your life, but because repetition gradually usually changes what's familiar to you. And the assumptions that feel most natural are usually the ones or the assumptions we live from. If every day you are reminding yourself, I'm overlooked, nothing ever works out for me, or making money is hard, those assumptions begin to feel normal and they manifest. But if you intentionally replace them with assumptions that align with the life you actually want to create, eventually those begin to feel normal instead. And we know that we don't manifest what we want. You manifest what you believe and assume to be true. So what feels normal and familiar to us? So here's something you can try. Choose 3 affirmations that reflects your new identity, not just something you want, but someone you are or want to be. Make sure they start with I or I am because you are declaring your own identity. Then put each affirmation somewhere you'll see it every single day, on your mirror, on your phone, your laptop, the bathroom door. Just surround yourself with reminders of the state that you wish to occupy. Technique number 3, he scripted the person that he wanted to become. Now let's fast forward to 1979. Michael is 21 years old at this point. He's already a successful entertainer. He's had solo hits. He's released multiple albums, but he hasn't yet become the global icon that we know today. There's no Thriller, there's no Moonwalk, there's no title of King of Pop yet. In many ways, Michael was standing on the edge of the biggest transformation of his career. And instead of leaving that transformation to chance, he decided to define exactly who he intended to become. So he sat down and he wrote what has become known as his 1979 manifesto. And what fascinates me about this is that it wasn't just a list of goals. He was defining his self-concepts. So in this manifesto, he wrote, MJ will be my new name. No more Michael Jackson. I want a whole new character, a whole new look. I should be a totally different person. People should never think of me as the kid who sang ABC or I Want You Back. I should be a new, incredible actor, singer, dancer that will shock the world. I will do no interviews. I will be magic. I will be a perfectionist, a researcher, a trainer, a masterer. I will be better than every great actor roped into one. Have the most incredible training system. I will study and look back at the whole world of entertainment and perfect it. Take it steps further from where the greatest left off. And he went on to do just that. But he wasn't scripting an album. He wasn't scripting awards. He wasn't scripting about record sales. He was scripting Michael Jackson, the version of himself who would naturally create those results. And I think that's one of the biggest mistakes people make when they script today. They script circumstances. Michael scripted his identity because circumstances are a byproduct of your identity. The version of you who already has your desire, they think differently, they expect differently, they move differently. That's why I encourage you to write your own manifesto, not describing what you want, but describing who you are becoming. Now, the 4th technique is visualization. If you've ever watched behind the scenes footage of Michael Jackson, one thing becomes very clear. He wasn't just writing songs. He was seeing experiences before an audience ever watched one of his performances. The choreography, the lighting, the costumes, the feeling that he wanted people to walk away with. He wasn't creating one step at a time. He was creating from a finished vision. Take Thriller, for example. Before it became one of the most iconic music videos in history, it existed only in Michael's imagination. Michael had already experienced it internally before anyone else. And that is exactly what visualization is. Experiencing something mentally to outpicture it physically. Michael mentally rehearsed the experiences he wanted to create. Now, here's where the law of assumption takes this a step further. Visualization isn't just mental preparation, it's entering a state. For a few moments, you're no longer hoping it happens. You are experiencing the version of reality where it already has happened. Technique number 5, he created space to receive. Now, this next one might be one of my favorites. There is a scene in the recent Michael movie that really stood out to me. In this scene, Michael is floating in a pool. One of his brothers asks him, "Michael, what are you doing?" And he replies, "I'm channeling, letting the creator give me a song. If I'm not here to receive these ideas, God might give them to Prince." I laughed when I heard that line, but then I thought, wait, this is actually really profound because Michael wasn't talking about forcing inspiration. He wasn't chasing ideas. He wasn't sitting at a piano trying to squeeze a song out of himself. He understood that rest was important, that in order to receive, you have to let go, quiet down the noise, and make yourself available. Throughout his career, Michael has spoken about songs just arriving to him, almost like gifts. He once said that melodies, lyrics, chords, everything could come to him in an instant, almost as if they were being given to him. He didn't see himself as creating everything from scratch. He saw himself as receiving. He would also meditate frequently, and this immediately reminded me of a principle that Neville Goddard called the Sabbath. In Neville Goddard's teachings, the Sabbath isn't just a day of rest. It is the state that you enter after you've successfully impressed your subconscious mind with your desire. So the imaginal act is complete, the seed has been planted, so you stop forcing, you stop worrying, you stop digging up the seed to check whether it's still growing. You just rest. Not because you've given up, but because you trust that what's been imagined is already unfolding. It also reminded me of the reason why many people fast. Fasting isn't just about food. You can fast from anything that serves as more of a distraction or mental clutter in order to clear your mind and make space to receive downloads of guidance or solutions. Michael seemed to understand that creativity couldn't always be forced. Sometimes you simply had to become available. And I think manifestation works the same way. After you visualized and affirmed and embodied the state or the identity, sometimes the next step isn't doing more, it's just trusting more. It's allowing the bridge of incidents to unfold, making space for inspired ideas, because some of the best ideas and the best opportunities often show up when you finally stop trying to force them. So what's your takeaway here? This week, create some space. Go for a walk without looking at your phone. Sit outside or by a window with your morning or evening tea or coffee for 15 minutes, again without your phone. Float in a pool if you're lucky enough to have one. Take a warm bath, lie on your couch, not to scroll or to solve anything, not even to overthink, just to practice being in silence without stimulating yourself all throughout the day. Usually when I'm encountering an issue that I've already done all that I physically can to try and solve it, I will literally go for a walk or I'll take a nap. And I kid you not, there's so many times when I'll wake up from that nap and I will immediately receive a vision of how to solve that problem. So just be. You might be surprised at what arrives when your mind finally becomes quiet enough to receive it. So let's put all of this together. Michael Jackson scripted the person he intended to become. He immersed himself in that new identity through affirmations, mirror work, and visualization. And he saw the finished vision before anyone else could. He created the space to receive instead of constantly forcing, and he built personal rituals that reinforced his intentions. Michael wasn't waiting for the external world to tell him who he was. He decided first. And then he showed up as that version of himself. Now, I want to leave you with one final thought. Michael Jackson didn't become the king of pop because one day the world suddenly decided that he was. Long before the world saw Michael Jackson that way, Michael Jackson did. He knew, he believed, and perhaps that is the greatest manifestation lesson of all. If you've enjoyed this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button. Let me know in the comments, did any of these techniques surprise you? Which one of them have you used yourself, and which do you plan on using more in the near future? As always, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.
I was allowed access to a lot of his personal notes, and I realized that he would do mantras, affirmations, and his belief in manifestation was incredible. I didn't realize that about him until I really, really dived into it. And he would write everything he wanted to achieve. He'd write it down. He would repeat it. He'd even meditate for 30 minutes and just look at those mantras and repeat it back to back. He put on mirrors. He put on the ceiling, so you can see it every day. And it really was like his pursuit to greatness. So I